Good morning. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. Really nice to have you along this morning. Today, of course, is Good Friday. So for those of you celebrating Easter over the weekend,
You sound a little taller on radio. Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Americans
Okay.
and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time.
I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
This is the Greg Belfrage.
good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. First of all, today is Good Friday. It is April 18th, and it's really great to have you along this morning. A lot of stories to touch on. The top story, really, I think, is this gunman opening fire yesterday at Florida State University. A couple of people, unfortunately, dead, number of others wounded. 20-year-old. This is all of these stories are so heartbreaking when you see them. And have we gotten numb to hearing of these kinds of events, unfortunately? I was thinking about this as I was hearing about it, and there's a certain numbness, I think, that we hear of these so often, and we see them at a frequency that with which I would have never predicted, And then in this case, you've got a 20-year-old who took the gun from his mother, who is a sheriff's deputy. And you listen to officials who are talking about this glowing praise of this deputy. Can you imagine that? Wow. And then you've got families, of course, devastated. They're having their, you've got several people dead and a number of others injured. The devastation, it's just, these stories are just so incredibly tragic. So the two people who died were not students at the university, but the shooter, police had said, was believed to be a student. It's a 20-year-old. And again, he is the son of an 18-year veteran deputy. It's just heartbreaking. So he used the personal handgun of his mother. It was not her service revolver. It was one of her personal handguns that he had gotten a hold of. And the sheriff of Leon County said, unfortunately, your son had access to one of her weapons that was found at the scene. We're continuing that investigation into how that weapon was used and what other weapons perhaps he may have had access to. And again, they just went on with glowing praise of this this deputy, just adding more heartbreak, I think, to that story. So we'll get you details on that throughout the morning from Fox News Radio. Then you have the family of Carmelo Anthony. He's the accused killer. He's accused of killing Austin Metcalf at a track meet in Texas, stabbing him in the heart. And so the family has been holding a series of news conferences. And yesterday, the Austin Metcalf's father showed up. So here you've got the father of the dead young man showing up at the news conference that is being held yesterday afternoon. And this family of Carmelo Anthony, I'm going to withhold my thoughts. I just find it really disgusting the way that they responded to him. So he shows up at their news conference, and then they're taking shots at him because he showed up at the news conference. And I'm like, I don't know whether I would have done that or not. And I don't know that I could say. I've never been in a situation like that. That's an incredibly terrible situation. So would you do it? Right here as I sit here now, I would say, no, I wouldn't do that. But I don't know. if my 17-year-old son had just been killed, might I do it? I'm capable of it. And then for them, so his son has been forgive me, I laugh because again, there are so many of these things. I just, shake my head at them. So Austin's father, Jeff Metcalf, tried to attend the news conference that they were holding, and again, they're making it all. The whole thing is just become a circus, and it's the family of the accused killer that's created the circus, and so it's no wonder that Austin Metcalf's father shows up, and then they're criticizing him. I think you got that backwards. That's a big story this morning. Also, Senator Chris Van Hollen facing some backlash after new photos that he posted on social media showing him meeting with Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He's the MS-13 gang member from El Salvador, currently being held in El Salvador. And so Van Hollen did get to meet with Garcia yesterday. And the president of El Salvador, Bukele, said Kilmar Abrego Garcia miraculously risen from the death camps and torture, which is what some have been saying, now sipping margaritas with Senator Van Hollen in the tropical paradise of El Salvador, he wrote. And then he posted multiple photos of the two of them seated together. And then Bukele says now that he's been confirmed healthy, he gets the honor of staying in El Salvador's custody, he said. So this story has just really, it has incredible legs. And there are those, there are those who are speculating that the Democrats will run away from this story. As more information comes out. Nah, it doesn't look that way. It doesn't look that way. You have Hillary Clinton saying Americans of conscience must stand against Trump deporting this MS-13 gang member. You have James Carville saying that Democrats' top agenda needs to be bringing back Kilmar Abrego Garcia. So he said this on Wednesday. Party's top agenda needs to be focusing on retrieving Garcia. He said, people say, well, should we really fight on this turf or should we fight more on ordinary people? This we should fight on. You can't pivot to an economic issue. This is why we think we're a country. Wow. So there's no, they're doubling down on it. They are doubling down on it. Democrats are. And then you have Carville also, who went after, David Hogg on his podcast on Wednesday. David Hogg wants to identify Democrats who are not willing to fight Republicans and get them out and cut their funding and so on. So he's talking about Democrats who should not be funded. And this is just, James Carville is frothing at the mouth over this. Carville said it's the most insane thing. He told Jake Tapper. He said this is going to, again, what he's trying to do is he's focusing on Democrats. Hogg is. Because Hogg said this is going to anger a lot of people. He predicted a smear campaign against him. He said the organization isn't telling older Democrats that they need to go. Rather, and of course, he wants to make a way for a new generation. And this is not sitting well with Carville. He says, does he really think the problem we're facing in the United States today is because we got 65-year-old Democrats in office? Why don't you take on a Republican? That's your job, he said. It's a lot of infighting among Democrats. Other big stories this morning. The Supreme Court set to hear oral arguments in May on a Justice Department's emergency request to address a string of district court orders blocking the president's executive order restricting birthright citizenship. So the Trump administration has not asked the Supreme Court to rule on the constitutionality of the order. It is requested that the justices address the use of universal injunctions. So that's what they will be. So this would be a limited ruling then by the U.S. Supreme Court. So the justice's decision to hear oral arguments next month is rare because usually they do that between October and April. And most emergency applications are also resolved without oral arguments. So it's fairly rare that you see this. Also, the president declaring April 19th as a day of commemoration to mark the 250th anniversary of the battles of Lexington and Concord, recognizing the start of the American Revolutionary War. And the president signed a proclamation which says 2.5 centuries ago, a small band of Minutemen answered the call of freedom in the legendary battles of Lexington and Concord, an epic tale of American strength and the first major armed conflict of the Revolutionary War. And in fact, that's on the calendar this morning as well. Paul Revere on this day making his famous ride. So I'll run that down for you a little later in the program this morning. There's some local issues that I think that are certainly worth discussing this morning. Jody Schwan has a really interesting article in Sioux Falls Business, and the Department of Corrections is looking at the old Citibank campus as an alternative site for a new men's prison in South Dakota. So you know where the Citibank, the former Citibank campus is. You know where that is. They're talking about it. And Jody Schwan, she's done some nice reporting on this. I want to give Jody credit. It was brought up by the Greg Brown of NAI Sioux Falls, has the property co-listed with another, and he said, we're right down the street from the existing prison, and the Jameson Annex will still remain open, so it would be right down the street. You have all the infrastructure, all the employment and staffing. Everything is already here in Sioux Falls. Don't have to spend a fortune to create all that in a remote area, you know, the Harrisburg, or I should say Lincoln County would be closer to Harrisburg. That has been in a lot of landowners who have been very concerned about the location in Lincoln County. So now this coming forward as, again, it's a potential. I don't want to say like they're looking at a number of different properties. And now this is one of them. And it's pretty interesting. We'll get into that in more detail coming up this morning. But again, if you want additional details, Jody Schwan has done some really nice reporting on that. And you're seeing others that pick it up. Kevinland TV reported on it last night. Dakota News Now had a story a few days ago as well, all spinning off of Jody Schwan's initial story. Also, Senator John Thune. This is from Kellogg TV. And about 30 demonstrators saying, making it very clear they're not happy with John Thune as he was speaking, and this was a protest. So it was an organized protest, and folks started showing up. And what they're saying is John Thune's not speaking for everyone, and he needs to not just go along with his party. This makes me laugh out loud. This got to be. I mean, these are Democrats. They've got to be. Because every time I talk to Republicans here in Sioux Falls on this issue, they're frothing at the mouth over Senator Thune. They are upset. They're angry. They get frustrated with me because they want to hear him on the program. They want me to go after him. So I'm telling you, there are no conservatives that, well, I want to tone that down. I'm exaggerating a little. I've got a number of conservatives who listen to this program who are very upset with Senator Thune. So they're out there and they're saying he's not speaking for all of, for all of South Dakota. And we'll talk about that this morning as well. Then what is this story involving Elon Musk? I mean, I must admit, I heard some of this yesterday, and I'm like, what? And then you start digging into it, and the Wall Street Journal did a story a couple of days ago on Elon Musk. They interviewed Ashley St. Clair. She's the 26-year-old conservative commentator who has had a child then with Elon Musk, and that all of these stories regarding Elon Musk and these children, she is claiming Elon Musk offered her millions to keep their child's paternity secret. Elon Musk denying the claims, disputing the Wall Street Journal's reporting on the situation. And there's a lot of attention on Elon Musk and the number of children he has had. And he hit back at the claim that he's desperately trying to build a legion of babies with a harem. So he's punching back at the Wall Street Journal. And I'm sitting there going, what? I mean, where is all of this coming from? Does Elon Musk think he's like, Johnny Appleseed out there? I don't know. And don't look at me. That story's been out there for days, and I'm just hearing about it. It's picking up more steam. Also, you had the chairman of the FCC saying this week that Comcast-owned outlets have misled the American public about the Maryland man who is Gilmar Obrego Garcia, who is a member of the MS-13 gang. And Chairman Carr said news distortion doesn't cut it. Obrego Garcia came to America illegally from El Salvador, was validated as a member of the violent MS-13 gang, was denied bond by an immigration court for failure to show he would not pose a danger to others. Why does Comcast ignore these facts of obvious public interest? Wow, great question coming from the chairman of the FCC. Do you know Haley Joel Osment? He was the star of Sixth Sense, among other movies and programs. He's had another run-in with the law. He was arrested for public intoxication, possession of an unidentified controlled substance in California, and got into a, tussle with law enforcement for now, which he is, apologizing profusely. Also, Secretary of State Marco Rubio says it needs to be determined within days whether it's possible to come to a peace deal with Russia and Ukraine. He said we need to figure out if this is doable in the short term. And he said he thinks the U.S. will move on if it's not achievable. So clearly the clock is ticking here, and Rubio is saying that if it's not possible for a peace deal, he thinks President Trump is probably at a point where he's going to say, well, we're done. And he said the U.S. will help if either side or both sides are serious about peace. And then he went on to say, if it's not going to happen, then we're just going to move on. And that's a look at the big stories this morning. Thanks for starting your day with us. 627, mostly cloudy, breezy, 43. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Weeknights 5 to 8. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Excuse me.
In today's fast-paced business world, building relationships is key. At Lawrence & Schiller, it's about pushing boundaries and problem solving. Tired of settling for subpar results? Get to know us at l-s.com, where solutions are extraordinary.
Bring charm from the outdoors into your home with Renewal by Andersen picture and combination windows. Optimizing a beautiful view and light in a bedroom, kitchen, or living room from ABC Seamless of Sioux Falls. Call 605-646-2667 today.
So that's ABC Seamless. At CNR Supply, 2025 marks 50 years of service to the Midwest.
Just getting a message from my wife here.
To be your choice when quality.
She's been
the methods, equipment, and
out of town for most of the week, and she's up in Minneapolis right now on her way home.
So if you're working on a complete spray trailer project,
or just need a simple fitting or spray tip, think CNR Supply.
CNR Supply, your choice when quality is important.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing.
Does it feel like Friday to you? It definitely feels like Friday to me.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-969-7766. That's 800-969-7766. Paid for by Wesley Financial Group.
Mostly cloudy skies and a lot cooler today in the Sioux Falls area. Our high temperature at 54.
And in Sioux Falls at 6:30, it's mostly cloudy, breezy, 43 at Kello. Fox News Radio coming up. Then we'll check in to the Kello.com newsroom just ahead.
Claims it can't do anything to free Kilmar Abrego Garcia from an El Salvador prison. The panel, led by Judge J. Harvey.
Just amazing to me that story goes on.
to appeal a deposition mandate.
Wilkinson wrote, the government's asserting a right to stash away residents of this country in foreign prisons without the semblance of due process.
Atop Jill NATO, Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying the U.S. will abandon efforts to end the war in Ukraine if progress proves to be impossible in the coming days.
We need to determine very quickly now, and I'm talking about a matter of days, whether or not this is doable over the next few weeks. If it is, we're in.
That's what I was just telling you.
We have other priorities to focus on as well.
U.S., European, and Ukrainian officials met yesterday in France. America's listening to Fox News.
Kello News Time, 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. A Sioux Falls daycare worker is behind bars on child abuse charges. Authorities say 38-year-old Chelsea Struss is accused of hitting and pushing multiple children. The alleged victims were 4 one-year-olds at Next Gen Kids Daycare. The alleged crimes were caught on camera. When she was told to stop, court documents say Struss told a coworker she was overstimulated and had a lot going on. Struss is being held in a Minnehaha County jail awaiting her first hearing. Local law enforcement agencies in Sioux Falls are cracking down on dangerous driving with regular saturation patrols. The first this year was back on April 11th, resulting in 192 citations, 11 arrests, including 4 DWIs. Officials say speeding and reckless driving are top complaints, and these patrols will continue to keep the roads safer. Farmers are expected to see lower income again this year. That's one of the main findings from Creighton University's monthly Rural Main Street Index. Creighton economist Dr. Ernie Goss says there's probably not going to be much progress until stability returns to the market.
We need some certainty coming out of the White House. We need certainty coming out of our bank CEOs as they report. But right now, a lot of volatility, and we're seeing it in the stock market. We're seeing it in our surveys. And it's showing up in the job market as well.
April marks the 19th month in the past 20 that the index has been in the red. Attorney General Marty Jackley and 40 other AGs are calling for stronger rules to ensure that the next National Human Trafficking Hotline operator does a much better job. The current operator, Polaris, has been criticized for delays and not sharing key tips with law enforcement. Jackley says lives are at risk. And Sioux Falls Parks and Rec hosts their annual Earth Day Festival tonight. The event takes place at Great Bear Recreation Park, featuring family-friendly activities, vendors, and a scavenger hunt on the park's trails. The event starts this evening at 6 and runs until 7:30. It's free and open to the public. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Weather brought to you by Infinity Sedation Dentistry, Sioux Falls. They fix your teeth while you sleep.
Forecast today, 54 degrees. That wind out of the north at 15 to 30. Quite a bit cooler, and a few widely scattered showers around this morning. Low tonight at 30 degrees. Tomorrow's high back to 57, mostly sunny, and mostly cloudy skies developing on Easter Sunday with highs in the low to mid 50s. From the Storm Center at Kettleland TV, I'm meteorologist Brian Karstens.
A little news, a little discussion, a little opinion, a little weather, a little argument, a little arrogance. It all adds up to a lot of Kello. News Talk 1320 107.9.
Whether you hate Trump or you're all in MAGA, here's one thing we should all be able to agree. Government entities that were once vital are not so indispensable these days. Take the National Weather Service. It's 169 years old, and your daily weather forecasts have not been coming from them for years. I'm Kim Commando for Fast Growing Trees. Spring's here. Get an additional 15% off your first purchase when you use code Kim at checkout. FastGrowingTrees.com, code Kim. The National Weather Service costs taxpayers more than $3.5 billion every year. But during tornado and hurricane season, far more accurate private forecasts are available. Businesses rely on the weather company, owned by IBM. Thousands more use XWeather. For farmers and agriculture, there's DTN. And AccuWeather for personal
DTN,
yep. Even just a TV weather catchphrase. And none of these cost taxpayers even a dime. Join over 650,000 folks who start their day with my free newsletter at getkim.com. Did you know that Fast Growing Trees is America's largest online nursery? Yep, over 6,000 varieties of indoor and outdoor plants, plus more than 2 million happy customers. Whether you're after fruit trees, evergreens, houseplants, or something unique, they've got it all. No matter what your yard looks like,
fine, Robert.
Could be. Fast Growing Trees has you covered. I ordered an avocado tree for my backyard.
Some days I feel like I'm going to be late to the show.
No problem. On top of their Alive and Thrive guarantee, they offer free quote consultation forever. Save 90% on landscaping costs when you DIY and get plants delivered directly from fastgrowingtrees.com. Right now, save up to 50% on select plants. And as a Kim Commando listener, you get an additional 15% off your first purchase when you use code Kim at checkout. That's an additional 15% off at fastgrowingtrees.com using code Kim. That's fastgrowingtrees.com for an additional 15% off using the code Kim.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is sponsored by Tires, with 2 locations to make sure you have the proper traction this winter.
For years, Senator John Thune has been a strong supporter of America's small businesses, recognizing that they need a level playing field to compete against larger corporations. Thank you, Senator Thune, for leading the fight to protect the 20% small business tax deduction, empowering South Dakota's small businesses to hire, expand, and invest in our communities. Visit smallbusinessdeduction.com to learn how you can support the effort to stop the massive tax hike on small businesses. Paid for by the National Federation of Independent Business.
It's time to stop making excuses. The peace of mind you get after a colonoscopy is worth it. It's the best way to prevent and detect one of the deadliest cancers. In fact, your doctor can remove precancerous polyps during the procedure if necessary. That's right, before it even turns to cancer. No buts about it. Get a colonoscopy at 45 and follow up every 10 years or as recommended by your doctor. Find a location or schedule now at avera.org/colon.
Don't get suckered into the same old free phone game by Big Wireless. That comes with a lot of fine print, plus. Oh, in other words, you pay more. At the end of the day, you paid for that quote free phone 3 times over. There is a better way. Pure Talk, my cell phone provider, a veteran-owned company, my sponsor, my wireless company, has a much better offer. A free phone with a qualifying plan for just $35 a month, and you get a brand new Samsung Galaxy A26. Just make the switch to Pure Talk for $35 a month. You get unlimited talk, unlimited text, 15 gigs of data with mobile hotspot and roaming, all on America's most dependable 5G network. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword Pure Talk, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team will help you make the switch in as little as 10 minutes. Again, just dial pound 250, say the keyword Pure Talk for your free Samsung Galaxy with qualifying plan when you make the switch to Pure Talk, wireless by Americans for Americans.
Progressive knows when you're on your boat, you're already on vacation. And Vacation You forgets all your worries. Vacation You doesn't even keep track of time and knows that time is a meaningless construct designed to control us, man. But Regular You knows you don't want to be too far out in the water after the sun goes down because Vacation You doesn't know how to navigate in the dark yet. Vacation You and Regular You really need to get on the same page. So bundle your boat with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-334-2266. That's 800-334-2266. 800-334-2266.
Paid for by Wesley Financial Group. Sometimes breaking news can define your day. A big story can stop you in your tracks. The things you need to know about are all on the most listened to news source in Sioux Falls. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9. Stimulating talk and news what?
Minutes before 7. Cloudy, breezy, 43 this morning. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. And I want to remind you that you may only be able to listen to a portion of the Greg Belfrage Show each morning. We podcast the entire thing for you every day. And we do it in about 20-minute segments. So it makes it really, really convenient and easy for you if you want to listen to the show, you want to catch up on all of the things we're doing. You will find all of my podcasts that we post them by noon each day. And you'll find those at kelo.com. Go to kelo.com and you can find all of my podcasts that way. If you happen to be driving to work and we're talking, certain segment, and you've just arrived at work and you got to miss the rest of the conversation, you can always come back to it later. You'll find all of my podcasts at kelo.com.
What's trending now?
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News.
Well, Democratic U.S. Senator Chris Van Hollen met with Kilmar Abrego Garcia yesterday. This is the man who was deported to El Salvador, and Reuters says wrongly deported to. Wrongly deported. He's an El Salvador native. He's an illegal alien in this country. How is he wrongly deported? That's Reuters for you, though. So you had Senator Van Hollen meeting, and the reaction then, this story is so bad. You look at some of the legacy media and the way that they report on these. Oh, I had it. Here we go. The president of El Salvador, President Bukele, also shared photos of the two meetings. And Bukele said, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, miraculously risen from the death camps and torture, now sipping margaritas with Senator Van Hollen in the tropical paradise of El Salvador, he wrote. And he posted a number of photos. And then he said, now that he's been confirmed healthy, he gets the honor of staying in El Salvador's custody. There you go. So, also this morning, sad news. 2 people killed, 6 others injured in a shooting at Florida State University yesterday in Tallahassee. Shooting began late yesterday morning, and it turns out that the suspected shooter, the student at the school, also his mother is a sheriff's deputy and has been for over 18 years. And the sheriff there saying of her, she has done a tremendous job in her position. This is Walt McNeil, who's the Leon County sheriff. He said her service to this community has been exceptional. Unfortunately, her son had access to one of her weapons, and that was one of the weapons that was found at the scene. By the way, that was not a service revolver. It was a personal revolver that she had. And the sheriff saying we're continuing that investigation into how that weapon was used. Also, there's further outrage regarding Carmelo Anthony. He is the young man accused of stabbing Austin Metcalf in the heart over a seat at a track meet. Well, the family of Carmelo Anthony, again, he's the accused killer in this case. Accused. They've been holding a series of news conferences. Well, yesterday, Austin Metcalf's father, Austin Metcalf, the young man stabbed to death, his father showed up at a news conference they were holding. And then the family responds by criticizing Metcalf for doing that, saying that his presence was a disrespect to the dignity of his son. I mean, that is just like absolutely crazy town. There's no other, it's just absolutely incredible. Also, the president is some comments that President Trump made regarding Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve. The president had some strong words for Jerome Powell, and he wrote yesterday on True Social. He said, the European Central Bank is expected to cut interest rates for the 7th time, and yet too late. Jerome Powell of the Fed, who is always too late and wrong, capital letters, yesterday issued a report which was another and typical complete mess, Trump said. Oil prices are down, groceries, even eggs are down. The USA is getting rich on tariffs. Too late, should have, that's Jerome Powell now, he's calling him too late. Too late, should have lowered interest rates like the ECB long ago, but he should certainly lower them now. Powell's termination cannot come fast enough. This has got the markets all in a tizzy. Everybody's turned upside down. And over these, it's just amazing. The reaction from the markets, it's like, the same kind of hysteria. It's they're blaming Trump for this. Just ignore him, man. Just ignore him. Jerome Powell's not going anywhere. So Donald Trump said that. What? Why is everybody all shook up? I ask myself that on a daily basis. Okay, also, the U.S. Supreme Court says it will hear oral arguments in May on the case of the Trump administration's efforts to end birthright citizenship. So, an order from the court set arguments for May 15th. The morning of May 15th is when they will hear that. Likely we'll be talking about that more as we get closer. Also, the president yesterday welcomed the Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni, to the White House. And he told reporters he was hopeful that the United States and the European Union could come to a trade agreement. And during their discussion, the president attributed several of Europe's current challenges to mass immigration. That was among the things they talked about. And the president promised 100% chance of a trade deal with the European Union following the meeting. And she said, I'm optimistic. She said, I'm sure we can make a tariff deal, and I'm here to help with that. I cannot like this deal in the name of the European Union. My goal would be to invite President Trump to pay an official visit to Italy and understand if there's a possibility when it comes to organize also such a meeting with Europe. There will be a trade deal 100%, Trump said, but it will be a fair deal. Also, Lee Corso is going to be retiring from ESPN's College Game Day in August. He has had a long career on ESPN, about 40 years. And Corso, in a statement, said, my family and I will be forever indebted for the opportunity to be part of ESPN and College Game Day for nearly 40 years. I have a treasure of many friends, fond memories, and some unusual experiences to take with me into retirement. He turns 90 years old in August. And he has been a fixture of College Game Day, again, for nearly 40 years. And fans were what was some of the reaction I think I saw this morning? Folks are sorry to see him go, but recognize, yeah, it's time. It's time. Also, Eli Lilly is saying that its weight loss pill proving to be just as successful as popular injections in reducing blood sugar. And instead of injections, it's a pill. And it's just as effective, says Eli Lilly. On average, those taking the pill at the highest dose lost about 8% of their body weight, at around 16 pounds on average. And that could have significant impact for those living with type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes. So paying attention. Doctors tell me I'm pre-diabetic. Also, mortgage rates have risen to a 2-month high, and there's a lot of economic uncertainty that's out there right now, and that's driving up mortgage rates. They have climbed to their highest level in 2 months. Biggest spike in nearly a year, according to reports. Also, there have been a lot of questions over the death of Michelle Trachtenberg, and the medical examiner is now saying that Trachtenberg died of complications from diabetes, and that's what caused her death. Also trending this morning, Elon Musk's SpaceX and 2 of their partners have emerged as front runners, says Fox News, to build part of the president's Golden Dome missile defense system. Now, this is according to a report. So SpaceX is teaming up with others then for a joint bid, a software maker and a defense technology company. Along with SpaceX, they are working together and offered a bid then, working with the Trump administration and the Pentagon in pitching their proposal. Their plan is to build and launch 400 to 1,000 satellites to track the movement of missiles around the globe. A fleet of 200 attack satellites armed with missiles or lasers would then eliminate enemy projectiles, but SpaceX said SpaceX is not anticipated to play a role then in weaponization of these satellites, but they have entered a bid. These stories always intrigue me. Thanks to NASA's James Webb Space Telescope, astronomers say they found the best evidence yet of life on another world outside of our solar system. And it's an exoplanet, K2-18b. It's been a top contender with promising signs of life, and they have found evidence of chemicals in the atmosphere of K2-18b that are produced on Earth by marine life, things like algae and other things. So K2-18b orbits its parent star in the constellation Leo, 124 light years away. It's more than 2.5 times larger than the Earth. Take a look at the NBA. Got the Miami Heat knocking out the Chicago Bulls. Also, the Dallas Mavericks ousting the Yeah, it was the Mavericks ousting the Kings, and Miami Heat knocking out the Chicago Bulls, setting up a win or go home final round. This is another wild story. A colossal squid. Now, I say colossal because squid are so small. This squid is just under 1 foot long, just under a foot long. So you're thinking giant squid, you're thinking, what's the deep sea movie? Kirk Douglas is in it with the squid. No. This thing's about a foot long. But it was caught on camera at a depth of nearly 2,000 feet in the South Atlantic Ocean. And it's pretty wild. I don't know if you've seen the video of this. Experts believe colossal squid can grow up to 23 feet in length. This one, again, is just under 1 foot long. And that's a look at the stories that are trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. Thanks for starting your day with us. Currently cloudy, breezy, 43. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. Thanks, my friend, for being here. Hope you'll come back for the 4th hour, which is at 9:30, live at 9:30, both on YouTube and Facebook. And you can also catch it at your convenience. I hope you'll tell somebody about what we're doing with the Greg Belfrage Show. Hope you'll encourage, especially if they're interested in news and events. I would love to have them on board. So thank you so much. I want to wish you a great weekend. See you again soon.